Already mic testing, mic testing. Okay, perfect. Let me go to my main camera. There we go. Already we're live. And as you guys can tell by title and thumbnail, today I'm going to be working on Board Game Logic in Unreal Engine 5 using C++. Why have I been just doing game logic for the past, like, I think 7 or 8 streams? Well, I think like 7 or 8 stream is like an exaggeration, but because I am like actually working on game logic because I don't really know what specific content am I really doing. For the time being, I am like working on pods, but I did not have enough time to actually change the thumbnail. So like game logic is like a pretty broad, whatchamacallit, a pretty broad like topic to say. So I wouldn't have to like think of a specific detail because I didn't even change my chat because I think I didn't have enough time for that. That's it. Let's go to my gameplay screen. There we go. Okay, excuse me. I wanted to ask you something. What are your thoughts on gaming privacy? Honestly, I don't think I haven't actually thought of that. That's it. How doing, Praj? I appreciate you joining the stream. How doing, Rahul? I appreciate you joining the stream as well. Okay, that's it. Let me say something like say I'm live exclamation. And guys, this is like let's go with something like I'm live exclamation. And this is a chat like from last stream because I did not have enough time to like get a new chat up because I just came from college, guys. That's it. Listen to me. The dojo is open, the lights are on, and the world is watching. To know the act, to know and to act are the same thing said by Wang Yaming. Is that how I pronounce the name? That's it. Sensei's pre-stream mental warm-up. Before you strike the first key, remember the warriors' mindset. Embrace the bug, a crash the lesson. Just in disguise, respect the compiler. It is a strict master, but it only wants you to be perfect. Talk to the crowd. Explain your logic as you type. A master always teaches while they fight. That's it. Current status of the Sentinel. There we go. I remember what I did last stream. Last stream, I was like working on a shrine logic where I got an NPC to actually chase my player around. But I want to go ahead and add a few abilities this stream. That said, current status of the Sentinel. When we last left the dojo, you had the Red Demon Sentinel that was spawning from the shrine locked to the Z-axis. No more diving into the dirt. Bobbling with a Sin Wave. Our following tip with a 400 unit comfort zone, I see. The Sensei's challenge for today. Okay, what is our first strike of the day? The Knavish make the Sentinel smart enough to walk around walls instead of going through them. Okay, before doing that, let me say something like, Sensei, I want to work on the program's source code today. Yesterday, I just wanted to see if it works, but today, before we move on, I want to practice and master the code. Exclamation. Okay, there we go. Let's see. That's it, guys. I am kind of starving because I did not get to eat today, so I might actually eat some fruits. Okay, stage 1, the anatomy of the spawn. Okay, let's look at the most important line in your activate shrine function. This is the command of the creation. Get world spawn actor a shrine sentinel. Okay, so I want to spawn a actor from my world. Okay, and then shrine sentinel class spawn location, spawn rotation, the breakdown. Get world, you're asking the entire game universe for permission to exist. Spawn a character. This tells the engine the C++ template. Okay, it says prepare a slot in memory specifically for a sentinel class. This is the blueprint variable. It tells the engine use the visual mode and settings I picked in the editor. Spawn location and spawn rotation. This is where and which way. Sensei's challenge, if you removed a shrine sentinel, the code wouldn't know what type of actor is coming out and you wouldn't be able to access the sentinel's specific functions later. Okay, I think you should drink and eat something. That actually does make sense, guys. I'm starving really bad right now. Okay, maybe I go ahead and eat an apple real quick. Okay, that was way too juicy for being an apple. Stage 2, the anatomy of the trick. Shrine sentinel.c++. This is the brain that runs 60 times every second. So I'm assuming this goes inside my dick. Okay, the breakdown vector subtraction in math b minus a always gives you a line pointing from A to B. Okay, if you want to go to the player, it must be player minus me. I see. If you want to go to the player, it must be player minus me. I see. Okay, direction.z-axis equals 0. This is the constraint. By killing the z-axis, you tell the physics engine, ignore gravity and height, stay on the 2D plane. Okay, that makes sense. Stage 3, the delegate, the overlap. In begin play, you added a dynamic delegate collision box which points towards on collision on component begin overlap. I did work with this function like way back, like I think it's been like 50-ish days when I first started my collision logic type stuff. That said, the add dynamic, when I said 50 days, I meant around like 20-ish days, I guess. That said, this requires a parameter of this, a shrine, the memory address of my shrines class, okay, which uses a scope resolution operator to point towards the on overlap begin. Okay, I'm assuming this is my function name. And then what is this? It's an alarm system. You aren't checking if TIB is there every frame, which is low. Instead, you're telling the collision box, don't wake me up unless someone hits you. When they do, run the on overlap begin function. Sensei's mastery quiz. The viewers are watching. Prove your knowledge. Question 1. In the spawn actor command, why do we use the sentinel class? Okay, so in the spawn actor, why do we use the sentinel class instead of just typing a shrine sentinel class? Hint, think about Blender Mesh and the blueprint you made. Okay, maybe because I need to, have access of my sentinel class inside of my actual, my shrine meshes blueprint, if that makes any sense. That said, okay, I'm gonna be working on learning my code now here. So let's see where I start. So I need to work on my Shrine Sentinels' header files and my Shrine Sentinels' C++ file. Okay, the tip class's header files and the tip class C++ file. Let's go from my character first. So I did the basic things. I went ahead and I declared a few classes here. Okay, I declared a few empty classes and an empty structure here. And then I created a few basic properties. For example, my camera boom, my follow camera for my camera component and my spring arm component. I created a few input actions because I do want to add a few input actions. I created an interaction action. So every time I click E when I go close to my shrines' box component, my collision box, it does say activate shrine. I have a jump so I can make my player jump. I have a few boolean checks, okay, and then a few boolean function checks, okay. And then I have a basic functions. Okay, and that was pretty much it for my header files. Now, for my C++ file, where I define the function that I've declared in my header files. Let's see what all I did. So, firstly, I included the basic things. For example, I included camera component from my camera. Okay, can you teach me how to make a folder in GitHub? Actually, I haven't worked much with GitHub because I did not have like enough time. That said, I do think that I posted like two of my source codes in the GitHub repository. Feel free to check that out, guys. Okay, that's looking good. Honestly, it does look kind of cool. Okay, that's it. Next up, since I'm going to be using a spring arm component from my game framework, I included my spring arm components in header files as well. And then I am, I was using enhanced input components, so I included my enhanced input component subs. Actually, my enhanced input components as header files and my enhanced input subsystems as header files. And also my input action value and my shrines as header files. But the shrine comes later on. Okay, then in my constructor, I just constructed or created a default sub-object for my follow camera, which is my actual camera component, and my camera boom, which is my spring arm component. Then in my begin play, I firstly got my player's controller. Then in the if statement, I checked if my controller was not null. If it wasn't null, I got my I got my enhanced input local player's subsystem, and is it called like referenced or not referenced, or which represented by a pointer called subsystem. Okay, then I got my subsystem and then I pointed my PC towards get local player. Okay, then I went with subsystems at mapping context. I set that to my default mapping and my priority was 0. Okay, then I added a few RMB functions and then E button function. This was something new, but I feel this is pretty easy. The reason I am like skimming over my entire code right now is because last stream I did like copy some code from Gemini just to check if the program works, and this stream I was going to work on it, so I'm trying to see where was the new block of codes that I added. Should have named it. That said, I added a move function here as well, which is pretty easy, and then a look function for my player to rotate or bounce. Okay, that's pretty easy as well. And then my interact function. For my interact function, this might be a bit new. Okay, I firstly got my players' controller here, then I created an F hit result because I am going to be, whatchamacallit, working with hits and all that stuff. Okay, that said, once I was done with that, I created a boolean of hit variable which was equal to my player controller, which is my PC, that points towards using an arrow mark operator towards the get hit result on your cursor by channels function that required three parameters. First is a engine type, which uses a scope resolution operator to get the convert to trace type function that requires a parameter of ECC underscore visibility. And then my second parameter was a B trace complex, which was set to false. The third was my F hit results structure, which is basically my hit results local variable that I represented my structure with. Okay, once I was done with that, I added a if statement to check if my player controller was equal to null PDR. Okay, so if my player controller is null, if it did not return anything, then I just close my program. Okay, in the other hand, if my player was hit or if my B hit, if this condition was set to true, then I go ahead and I type my A shrines class, which was represented by a pointer called something like target shrine. Now, here's the thing. I did not go over my shrine, so let's go ahead and pretend that I created a shrines actor, because this is going to be an actor, because I don't want my shrine to be a character or a bot. I want it to be a static stuff. Actually, a static mesh in my window, okay, where I did not include anything here. Okay, these are already included here. Okay, the only thing that I did include was my Shrine Sentinels as header file, but that does not come up till later on. Okay, then I created Unreal Functions. Okay, let's go with something like Unreal Functions, where the first I created a uenums function, which is a blueprint type. Okay, this is something new. I did not work much with enums. So then I went ahead and created an enum class, which is called eShrine type, with a colon of a uint8. Okay, let me just go ahead and hover over this. Okay, maybe I'm gonna go ahead and get Gemini real quick. Hold up, guys. There we go. Okay, maybe I'm gonna go ahead and get a tab here. Type something like, what is uint8 in UE5 C++? Okay, I do like have a few questions here, so I'm just gonna be fact checking those here real quick. I'm assuming this is like Copilot that's answering. Okay, then here's what I came up with. Exposed to blueprint as a byte. Okay, U property edit anywhere blueprint read and write category is stats uint8 health. So tip, if you needed a signed by 8-bit integer, use int8 instead of range 128 to 127 for larger ranges. Use uint16, uint32, or uint64. I think that was not helpful. Hold up, let me go here and maybe copy this part real quick. Okay, actually I'll go with Control C, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get Gemini here. Okay, let me go ahead and paste this. Go with Shift Enter and see something like, since I was just going over the source code that I wrote to study it. That said, I had a quick question. What does the let's say something like, hold up, guys, I did not want to write this in caps. Okay, let me try having no typos this time. Okay, I was going over the source code. Guys, how did I already get a typo? There we go. So let's say I wanted to... Okay, not wanted. I was just going... This is going to be going over the source. S-O-U-R-C-E. There we go. I was just going over the source code for the program that we worked on yesterday to see if I understand everything. That said, I had a quick question. So in the enum, let's go with something like, guys, how did I manage to write everything in uppercase later? In the enum, okay, in the enum function, we created a enum class called eShrine type colon uint8. What does the uint8 mean? Okay, let's see. Maybe I go ahead and eat some potato as well, because I am kind of starving actually. Guys, I feel like the potato is no longer warm. And also, let me know, do you guys like prefer eating potato with their peels on? I think I like it with the peels on. Okay, it's not warm at all. Very salty as well. Okay, that said, the breakdown, what is uint? In the world of computers, everything is stored in bits and bytes. I have learned about this in my programming class, guys. I feel kind of smart. The thing that I've learned is like, what you may call it, 8 bits make 1 byte, and like 1024 bytes make like 1 kilobyte, and 1024 kilobytes makes a, I think it was like megabytes, something like MB. I forgot what it stands for. And 1024 MBs makes I think like 1 gigabyte, and 1024 gigabytes makes 1 terabyte, which is TB. Okay, that's U stands for unsigned. I didn't learn about this when I was working with SDL, so U stands for unsigned. This means it cannot be negative. Okay, you cannot have a negative 3. You cannot have negative 3 types of shrines, right? Integer stands, int stands for integer, so unsigned integer, a whole number. 8 stands for 8-bit. Isn't that like very small? Okay, an 8-bit number can hold a value from 0 to 255. Since your shrine only has 3 types, fire, water, lightning, 255 slots are more than enough. I thought that 8-bit could only store like a very small number in it. Okay, why do we use it in Unreal? In standard C++ and enum often defaults to a regular int, which is usually 32-bit, 4 bytes. By forcing it to be uint 8, 1 byte, you're telling the computer, hey, don't waste 4 bytes of memory. Isn't that like very little? On a simple list of 3 things, just use 1 byte. When you have thousands of actors in a massive world, saving 3 bytes per action adds up. Okay, wait, hold up, guys. Okay, hint, remember 2 to the power 8 is 256. I know that programming, the programming is like base 2. 256, if the number goes higher than 255, the 8-bit cup overflows. But let me say something like, I thought that we can only store a very small number or just 1 character in a byte, which is 8-bit question mark. Okay, maybe I go and eat a potato as well. What up, guys? It's honestly very dehydrating. Hold up, guys. There we go. Okay, listen to me. Your intuition is striking the right chord. We must tune the instruments. You're thinking of a character, a single letter, which indeed takes up 1 byte, but a byte is not just letters. It contains of your binary data. Okay, the breakdown letters versus numbers. Hi, Hiding Tip. I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, you're correct. That a character like A, B, or exclamation fits into 8-bit. This is because the computer uses a map called ASCII. In ASCII, the number 65 is mapped to the letter A. Since 8-bit can represent any number from 0 to 255, we can store 256 different characters in that single bit. Oh, I see. Okay. That makes sense. But when we use uint for an enum or a small number, we aren't talking about letters. We're talking about raw numerical capacity of those 8 bits. How 8 bits equals to 255, the binary ladder. Imagine 8 light switches in a row. Each switch represents a power of 2. So 1, 2, 4, 8, 6, 32, 64, 128. If you turn all of them 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 8 plus 16 plus 32 plus 64 plus 128, the total is 255. If you then turn all of them off, it is 0. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, that said, I think I get it in that case. So I go with uint because I don't want to go with u16 or like uint32 because I don't need like that much space. I just need like 8 bytes of, actually 1 byte of space, which is 8 bits. Okay, so wait, alright guys, let me read this part. There we go. So size 1 byte, there we go. Okay, next up, in my class of my ubox components. Okay, so first I create a uenum, which is going to be blueprint type. Okay, and then a enum class, eshrine type, uint, digital. Okay, once I'm done with that, I go ahead and create a few U properties under my protected data members here. Okay, that's it. Let's see. So I have a shrine tab where U property can be edit anywhere. I can go ahead and edit my shrine types as property anywhere. The category is going to be equal to shrine type. This is going to be saved in my outliner in my Unreal Engine. Actually, my details panel. That's it. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and create a eShrine type, the enum class that I created here, and represent it through a local variable called shrine type, which is going to be equal to fire by default. Okay, I don't really think there was like a use to have water and lightning, because I did not learn about randomness till now. That's it, collision box, U property. So this time I create a U property, excuse me guys, from my collision box, okay, and then I go ahead and create, okay, add this to the shrine knows what to spawn. Okay, T subclass, there we go, this is something new as well. So I create another U property which can be edited anywhere. Okay, the category is going to be spawning. So what sentinel do I want to spawn? For that, I create a T subclass of a pair of ankle brace. I'm assuming the T subclass of is a template. There we go, it is a template. Okay, where I have a parameter of class, a shrine sentinel class. Okay, so this is going to be my sentinels class. And then a U function required for overlap events. This is the function that so this is a function that I'm declaring inside of my inside of my header files of my shrine. Later on, I will be defining it inside of my C++ file. All the way here under my begin play. There we go. So this is my on overlap begin function. My header file. Whoops. I'm gonna go ahead and close this. Alright guys, let's get that all the way here. There we go. Okay, so it's on overlap begin. Although before I do go over that, I'm gonna go ahead and copy this part real quick because I have a quick question about this part as well, because that is still something new. Let's go up here. Let's go ahead and paste it. Go with Shift Enter and see something like, I see dot dot dot. I had another. Let's go with something like another question about this part as well. I don't know how to phrase my question here, but can you explain this block of code to me, question mark? Okay, let's see. That said, I might actually eat a, I think this is a pear. There's no way this feels like an apple, guys. Okay, listen to me. I'm pointing your blade at one of the most powerful magic spells in Unreal Engine. Okay, in Unreal Engine's arsenal, this isn't just a variable, it's a bridge between your C++ code and your blueprint world. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Is that pronounced said by Leonardo da Vinci? Okay, that's it, the breakdown of the Sentinel class. Let's dissect this line by line like a master surgeon. U property, edit anywhere category, equals to spawning. This is the macro. It tells the Unreal Engine. I want to go ahead and check what does a macro mean real quick. Even though I know it, I just want to fact check myself. What does macro mean? Question mark. What I've got to hide in my other window. There's so macro. A single instruction that expands automatically into a set of instructions to perform a particular task. I see. Okay, so this is a macro. It tells Unreal, hey, don't just keep the variable hidden in the code, show it in the details panel of the editors so I can check it and change it without recompiling. Edit anywhere, you can change this on the master blueprint and on every individual shrine you drag into the level category. This just keeps your floor organized so you don't get lost in a sea of variables. Okay, so it's to keep my stuff organized. Okay, I do know what the U property here means. Okay, now for the T subclass. So this is the filter. This is the most genius part of the code. We just used a actor, the drop down menu in Unreal. So, okay, drop down in the Unreal. Hold up, guys, I read that wrong. If we just use a actor, the drop down menu in Unreal would show everything: trees, rocks, players, even the floors. Okay, this makes sense. Sir, why are you streaming at midnight instead of sleeping? Guys, I just came from college. It's like 2 p.m. right now. That said, Sentinel class, this is the variable name. This is the bucket that holds the choice you make in the editor. Okay, the Y, the Sentinels is wisdom. So why do Why do we do this instead of just hard coding Sentinel? Scenario, imagine you want a fire shrine to spawn a red demon, but your water shrine spawns a blue spirit. If you hard coded it, you would need two different classes. You would need two different C++ classes. With T subclass off, you use the same C++ shrine code, but in the editor you just pick different blueprints for each one. Okay, that makes sense. It is flexibility, it is power. Sensei's mastery check, the strength of the archer is not in the bow but in the aim. Question, look at the code again. Notice the word class inside the brackets. A shrine, that is a forward declaration. Tell me, based on our talk about memory and speed, do you think class keyword is there to help the compiler work fast to make the code look prettier? I think is there to help the compiler. I think that the class word is there to help the compiler. Okay, stop yapping, bro, guys. Stop yapping, bro. It's kind of crazy. Your English sounds gay, guys. Like that's so much. That's it. I'm kind of straight. Are we in the US? Honestly, I can't actually say my actual country. Okay, speak like a man, bro. Honestly, guys, I feel like I do speak like a man. Okay, that's it. Let's see. So I have a T subclass of, so I create a subclass of class shrine sentinel. Okay, so this is technically my sentinel class, which I could go ahead and use for multiple different types of shrine. For example, fire shrine, water shrine, lightning shrine, and all that stuff. Okay, perfect. And then new function, the required for overlap event. So I go ahead and create a white function under my unveils U function. Okay, that says on overlap begin. The function name is going to be on overlap begin, which requires a few parameters. The first parameter is going to be a U primitive component that is going to be represented by a pointer called overlap component. This is going to be the component that has been overlapped. And then I have an EA actor, which is going to be the other actor besides the one that I have here. That is going to be my sentinel, okay? And then a U primitive component, which is going to be my other component. For an overlap to happen, we must have two components. So first is going to be my component, and the other is going to be my sentinel's component. When they both touch or collide, that's actually considered an overlap. Okay, and then int 32 other body index. This is basically like, for example, if we have a skeleton's mesh, they might have different body organs, for example, bones, maybe a different kind of armor, skin, and all that stuff. We gotta count that as a collision as well, so this is just for that. I didn't have enough time to like work with this, so I can't like give any example references. That said, I have a boolean variable of b from sweep. Okay, I gotta go ahead and see this part here real quick. Okay, so let's go with something like b from sweep. I need to ask what does the b from sweep and constant effort result sweep result mean. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy this part. Okay, because I have worked with collision before, so I have a pretty brief knowledge on this, guys. That's listen to me. Okay, the secret to the forward declaration in C++, if you want to use a class like a shrine sentinel, you usually have two choices. The heavyweight would include shrine sentinel.h at the top of your file. The lightweight forward declaration, just type class a shrine sentinel. That is a empty class, but it's good for declarations. Or put class right inside the template brackets like you did. The lightweight wins. Imagine a massive library. The heavyweight is bringing the entire book about sentinels into your shrine room just to mention their name. The lightweight is like just having a business card that says I'm a sentinel and I exist. How it saves you if you include the sentinels as header files. Okay, by using shrine, you compile that stuff. Okay, I think I see. Okay, the .h forward declaration, my class. Okay, did I go ahead and include? I did still include. I still had to include my shrine sentinels as header files, but not inside my. Okay, I could go ahead and include my C++. It's gonna be exactly the same. But I mean, I think it's fine. That's it. I'm gonna go ahead and just grab Gemini here real quick. Let's go ahead and paste this here real quick, and I'm gonna go to Shift Enter and say something like say. I see ... I think that I understood that part in theory. I just need some practice, but I will get to that in a few minutes after I am done learning the source code. Okay, dot. Okay, what does this code do? What does this code do slash mean? I mean, I do know what it does slash meant, but I still want to like brush up. Okay, Blood got some good knowledge on it. Honestly, do I? I feel like whatchamacallit, I did like work with the collision part before, like I think it was like a bunch of streams ago before before I started Unreal Engine. No, maybe I think 3 days after I started Unreal Engine, but then I haven't worked on that ever since. Okay, nah bro, I'm kidding, you good? Okay, let's see. So listen to me, you have reached the Earth of King, the communication gateway. If the T subclass of was the choice, this function is the action trigger. This is how the shrine senses. Alright guys, maybe I go ahead and just eat some potato real quick. Think I'm kind of starving here. There we go. The breakdown, the overlap signature. Okay, this function looks scary, but it has so many because it has so many parameters, but it's actually very specific contract required by Unreal Engine. The U function is a macro. Do you know what macro means now? In case I forgot, it's right here. A single instruction that expands automatically into a set of instructions to perform a particular task. I see. Okay, so it's a short for macro lens. Okay, so the most important part in C++, you can name functions whatever you want. But for delegates, events like on overlap, Unreal's internal engine needs to see the function. Without U function, the engine is blind to the function and the overlap will never trigger. It's the registration with the Unreal system, the parameters, the who, what, and where. When tib walks into the box, the engine calls this function and fills those brackets with data. Overlapped component, which part of the shrine was hit, usually the collision box. It is actually going to be the collision box. Okay, so this is which part of the shrine was hit. I see. The other actor, this is the big one. This is the actor that walked into the box. Oh, I see. We check this to see if it's Tib. Oh, I see. Okay, so other actor is based. Why is it called other actor and not other character? Because Tib is basically a character. Gotta ask that. And then other component. Which part of Tib hit the box? His feet, his body. Okay. Next up. B from sweeps is boolean variable and sweep result. These tells you if Tib imported into the box or walked into exactly where it touched or exactly where the touch happened. I see. The real world analogy, think of this function like a security guard sitting at a desk. The collision box is the tripwire. The on overlap begin collision is the procedure manual. Okay, when the tripwire is hit, the guard opens the manual. He looks at the other characters' ID card. If the card says tip, the guard runs the next command, which is activate shrine. I see. Okay, Sensei's is discipline, the signature match. Precision in code is precision in life. Guys, it actually does make sense. Actually, for my programming course, I forgot to add one period after one of my lines. I can't like say what lines, but then I forgot I had like one period after that actually cost me like one whole point. Okay, I mean, Gemini did not explain me this part. Let's go ahead and copy this part. I mean, I know that this part isn't important. I could like go ahead and get away without this part as well, but for some reason, the first time I was learning collision, Gemini did say me to use that. Okay, what about this part? Question mark. Okay, well, Gemini's saying that I might actually eat a potato real quick. Guys, the potato is pretty dehydrating, so it's kind of hard to chew it. It's just like boiled potato with like salt and pepper in it. Hi guys. It's very dehydrating, to be honest. There we go. Okay, listen to me. You're digging into the fine part of the contract. Most developers ignore the other body index because in 90% of games, it stays at -1 or 0. Oh, but for a master, every variable is a tool in the belt, okay? Okay, the breakdown. What is the other body index? Imagine you aren't just overlapping a single box, but a skeletal mesh like a dragon or a destructible wall made of 50 different chunks. The single actor to the engine, the dragon is one other actor. The body index, this tells you which specific bone or physics chunk made the contact. Why do we need it? If you were making a combat game where hitting the head does more damage than hitting the foot, you would need to check the other body index to see which part of the physics body triggered the overlap. I see. How it works in your shrine. Tib is a simple character. He usually has one main collision capsule. The shrine is a static object because there aren't multiple subparts hitting each other. Other body index will almost always be 0 or -1. Okay, in your code we include it because Unreal's delegate system demands it. If you try to write the function without it, the signature would match the engine. Okay, would be able to plug in the overlap events to your world function. I see. Okay, that actually makes sense. So now I understand my T of subclasses template here and also my U function. I do need to have some practice with T of subclass. I do know that, but I'm not like really good with that. That's it. I have one boolean check called something like is active to check if my shrine is active. What is the is active? Why did I add the is active function here? I should have made this a bit more clear. Is shrine active? I'm assuming that this means is shrine active. And then I created a public function called activate shrine. Now I move on to my shrines in C++ file to define the function that I've declared in my shrines as header files. And that's it. Before I do get to this, I want to eat something that has some kind of water to it. That's a bit juicy because I am a bit dehydrated because of the dried potatoes. There we go. So in the constructor of my shrines in C++ file, okay, firstly I go ahead and set my collision box that I did create right here. There we go, my collision box that I created in my header files. I set that equal to create default sub object. So I create a default sub object for my collision box, which is going to be my ubox component that is inside of my prof ankle braces here. Okay, and to be able to use my ubox components, I have to include my component slash box components as header files, because I'm pretty sure I don't include it here. There we go. I don't include it here, but I did declare it here. So this is just like an empty ubox components class. The same thing that I did with my tips as header files. I went ahead and declared a bunch of empty classes. Then later on, I defined it inside of my C++ file here. There we go. Okay, that's it. I'm going to go to my shrines in C++. So once I'm done creating a default sub object for my collision box, I call it collision box inside. This is going to be the name that I'm going to be seeing inside of my details panel in my Unreal Engine. And then I go ahead and point my collision box towards the set collision enables this function that requires a parameter of eCollision enabled type. So I go with something like eCollision enabled with a scope resolution operator. My type is query only. And then I go with something like collision box again that points towards set collision response to all channels as function, which requires a parameter of eCollision response of a new response. My new response is going to be excuse me guys, it's going to be ECR underscore overlap. Now here's the thing, I do know when to add these parameters and what parameters to actually have here, but I did like learn about them in depth, so I might have to actually do that if that's kind of important. Okay, and then I point my collision box towards set collision response to channel. I want to set my collision response to one channel this time. That requires two parameters. My channel name, what is the channel that I want to set it to, and a new response, so a e-collision response, which is going to be ECR block. That is completely different from ECR underscore overlap. My channel name is going to be ECC underscore visibility. Lastly, my collision box points towards set collision generate overlap events, which is going to be true. Okay, so my generate overlap event is going to be set to true. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go inside my begin play and I bind the function to the collision box. I go with an if statement that checks if my collision box, with a pair of curly braces, okay, if my collision box is set to true, then my collision box points towards on component begin overlaps function, okay, dot the add dynamic. Okay, wait, this wasn't a function. On component begin overlaps is I'm assuming this isn't a class. I'm positive it's not a class. On component begin overlap, I think it's a keyword. I use the dot add dynamics as function, which requires two parameters. First is going to be my object, which is going to be this object. Second is going to be my function name, that is on overlap begin. Okay, hey dude, can you explain all of this for a non-technical person? Basically, what I'm doing here is that if I run my code real quick, let's wait for it to compile real quick. I am going to be opening my Unreal Engine, and all this is for like collision. Collision technically happens when one object touches with the other object. The center part is actually called collision. So we surround it with something that's called a box component, and we name it something like a collision box. So this has a collision box, that has a collision box. When the two boxes actually touch, that's called a collision. When a collision happens, I use this chunk of code here to actually do something, which is basically saying that my shrine has been activated type stuff, or at least the general idea on what you're doing, working on particularly. Let me actually run the code and show you guys. So this is my Unreal Engine that I had yesterday. I'm going to go to content. Let's go to something like content and load in my untitled map here. There we go. Let's go ahead and load in all my assets, sure. Okay, let's click something like yes. There we go. Okay, so this is technically the code that I created, where this guy's name is Tip, because I didn't get a better name for like my character. That is a camera, so my camera is going to be viewing from my Tibbs' perspective. So this is what my camera is going to see here. And this is my Shrine Sentinel. Do not ask me why my model is looking kind of trash. I'm kind of bad with, whatchamacallit, I'm kind of bad with modeling right now, but I am working on that. That said, if I were to go ahead and compile my code real quick, let's go ahead and exit that and run the code. This is technically what happens. I can go ahead and move around. And my Shrine Sentinel, he kind of chases me, but this wasn't the logic that I was working on. The logic that I was actually going through right now in the code was, if I were to go ahead and climb above my shrine here and go close to my Shrine Sentinel, there we go, and I click E, then that actually ignites my, or that, whatchamacallit, that kind of starts my, or jump starts my shrine here. That you guys did see something like Shrine Ignited. What up, guys? This is not a shrine. Okay, that's probably because of my camera. I'm gonna go ahead and fix my camera real quick. What up, guys? Okay, because I can't really see my shrine because of my camera. I'm gonna go ahead and extend my details panel. Okay, let's go with follow camera. I'm gonna go ahead and get it a bit lower. Gonna get it a bit in front. There, that should be it. Now, let me go ahead and run the code real quick. There we go, this is much better. I can go ahead and go in here. Why does it say Fire Shrine Ignited without me clicking E? Maybe I messed something up while actually looking at the code. That's it. If I click E again, nothing really happens. Okay. I gotta probably check that out. But if I click E somewhere else, it says this is not a shrine. Okay, and mostly this type of stuff happens because, whatchamacallit, I just opened my Unreal Engine, so all my code did not really compile inside of my Unreal Engine, so it's kind of slow in that case. Okay, that is so cool. I'm not a tech person, I understand most of everything. Do you wipe code? If not, why not? I mean, technically, it's not like wipe coding is kind of bad, but then I do like the reason I am really coding is because I do actually like writing the code. For example, I could have used like the blueprint tab. For example, I did use some of a blueprint here as well, like right here. There we go. I think the blueprint is somewhere there. Let's go to class settings. Okay, guys, I forgot where was my blueprint. My blueprints is option, but I could have used blueprint for programming as well. That would make stuff much easier to do, but I do like writing code in general. So many of you guys do think that I actually do wipe code. I do use AI, but just to like understand the concepts and maybe sometimes get the source code so I can see if the program works. And then I kind of study it. The reason I don't like completely rely on AI is because firstly, AI does make mistakes, but with higher and more better AI models and all that stuff, they could definitely have really good code, but I don't want to like get kind of rusty. Although I feel like prompting AI is like another skill to have. That's let's see. Bro, please give me your Telegram ID. I need your help. Honestly, you could like join my Discord server. That's where I usually talk to you guys. Let me go with something like Discord. There we go. If you guys type something like hashtag Discord in chat, you guys can get access to my Discord server. That's sad. Maybe let me just go ahead and eat something real quick because I'm kind of dehydrated. Mm. Alright guys, let me just go ahead and check something real quick. I want to go ahead and see if my E action is here. Okay, so my E action is going to be triggered. My interact action is going to be triggered when I click E. So I'm going to go ahead and run the code again. This time I will not be clicking E. Instead, I want to check. When I get near my shrine, it says Fire Shrine Ignited. Okay, it should say ignited when I actually touch it. So let's say to fix that, I'm going to go ahead and okay, let me firstly find my ignited function. So I got to go to something like my header files. Okay, let's maybe go to my C++ file. Okay, let's go in order though. So firstly, activate shrine function. Okay, so if is active, if my shrine is active, the holy spawn command, if sentinel class, this checks if you assign a blueprint in the editor. Okay, I create a f vector for a spawn location, and f vector is 3-dimensional. So I get my actor as a location, which in this case is going to be my shrine sentinel, plus my f vector and these coordinates. Okay, this is, I'm assuming, technically where I want him to spawn. Then I create a f rotator to actually get my actor, my shrine sentinel's rotation, so he's always facing my player, if that makes any sense. Okay, this is the line that creates the live get world spawn actor. Okay, I do know there is a destroy function that like removes our static mesh from our window. Spawn is something new, so I go with spawn actor, a shrine sentinel. Okay, so inside the prof ankle braces, so I'm assuming that's a template. Okay, yeah, it is a template. There we go. Okay, and then I'm a shrine sentinel class, spawn location, and spawn rotation. Then my boolean of his active variable is going to be set to true, mark it as used, and then a UE log just for like a general UE log, and then a bunch of okay. This chunk of code did not actually execute for some reason. The shrine has already been activated. I'm assuming I gotta like restart my Unreal Engine. You seem really passionate, man. You're gonna get far ahead in life. Last time I was here. Okay, you told me that you do this after college. Which college do you go to? What's your year? Honestly, I do firstly appreciate it. That actually means the world to me, guys. That's it. I cannot like actually say my exact college name. That's it. I am like a freshman in college. Okay, that's it. Let's see. And guys, the worst thing is like in my college, I'm learning Python because like I am like a beginner programmer in terms of like my college because I did not take any programming courses before. That's it. I guess I'm starting with Python, so I gotta like learn Python and C++ simultaneously. Hmm. Okay, where's my interact function? Did I like not add it yet? Okay, the interact function is going to be my Tibs C++ file, not my shrines. So let's see. Okay, as far as I can see, there isn't an interact function anymore. What's the point of adding the function if I didn't really use it? Okay, so I'm assuming I gotta add an interact function. Activate shrine is not the same as interact shrine. Okay, so I don't have an interact function here. Well, that's actually kind of strange. I could have sworn that I had it yesterday because yesterday my E actually worked, unless that was like a whole different project. I mean, it won't even take that long to do it, so I could just go ahead and add that real quick. Guys, are we going to be using trigonometry or why do I see sin? Okay, so I guess we're going to use the fmath library. I guess there's a lot to learn for this part. Okay, that's let's see. So firstly, I'm going to go to something like my C++ file here. There we go. I'm just gonna go ahead and copy this part real quick because I want to like get some kind of an explanation, even though I kind of understand what this means. Okay, let's go with something like Control C. Alright, man, I'll be heading out now. Best of luck for your game. Honestly, I appreciate you. Anshij, is that how I pronounce your name? I'll catch you next stream. Okay, that's it. Let's go ahead and get Gemini up here real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and paste this. Go with shift enter and say something like, let's say, so I am kind of confused, about this function and how did we write it. That said, later after you explain this function to me, okay, I realized, let's go with something like REALICD. I realized that I don't really have a interact function. I could have sworn that I had it yesterday. Excuse me, guys. So when I just get close to my let's go with something like interaction spot without me clicking E on my keyboard, the spot interacts and my G engine triggers. Okay, and my G engine triggers. Is there something else I want to say? But we can work on that later in a bit. Okay, while Gemini's actually replying, I might eat another apple. Okay, listen to me. You spotted a ghost in the machine. The response your shrine is activating without you pressing E is that we hook up the automatic tripwire overlap instead of the manual switch interaction. Okay, the anatomy of the activate shrine. Think of this function as a safety vault. It has three distinct layers. The bounce, the guard. If B is active, if my shrine is active, then I return, I end the function. This is the gatekeeper. If B is active, it's all very true. The function returns and stops instantly. This prevents you from spawning 100 sentinels and crashing your computer. But my sentinel is already spawned. He does not like spawn after I interact. The ritual despawning, unless my interaction is always set to true. The sentinel class f vector spawn location equals to get actor location plus my f vector get world sys function that points towards spawn actor inside the pair of ankle braces in my template. I add my a shrine sentinels spawn class, then sentinel class spawn locations and spawn rotation. Okay, where's Gemini did not explain my spawn rotation there. That's it. Like, just go ahead and hydrate my lips real quick. What up, guys? Okay, so the safety check. If the Sentinel class ensures you actually picked a blueprint in the editor, if you didn't, the game would crash. This check, okay. The offset, we added 150 to the z-axis so the Sentinel doesn't spawn inside the shrine, but it flows majestically above it, okay. The announcement, the switch statement, okay, switch shrine, case e shrine type fire, I see. The decorator, it looks that you int 8e now we talked about earlier and decides which message to print. It's a clean way to handle multiple choices without writing 50 if statements. Okay, so switch right, I see. It activates automatically. You set it triggers just by getting close. Look at your begin play in the C++ file or where you added the overlap logic yesterday. You likely have this line collision on component begin overlap dot add dynamic this a shrine on overlap begin. Yeah, I do have that. The truth, because on overlap begin calls activate shrine, the moment Tibbs' capsule touches the shrine's box, the sentinel rises. The E key isn't involved yet. Sensei's discipline, the logic duplication. Cleanliness is next to godliness in code. Watch out, in your code above, you said boolean is active to be equal to true inside the if sentinel class block, then you set it again lower down. The result, your G engine debug message says the shrine has already been activated, right as it's activating for the first time. Okay, we fixed this. Okay, the fix. We should move all the success into one block. Okay, Sensei's mastery check question. Okay, tell me, if we remove that call and Tib walks into the shrine, will the sentinel still spawn or just pass? So inside the check is active, shrine has already been activated, shrine activates. Okay, so here's a tiny check. So my fire shrine, it always says activated. I mean, it says activated as soon as I get into my place. Okay. E-Shrine Water. If my E-Shrine has been activated, then I do that. Shrine activated. Sentinel arises. This block does not actually execute it. Okay, maybe I'm gonna go ahead and get Gemini up here again. Let me say something like, Sensei, when I run the code, my Sentinel is already spawned, and when I click, actually not when I click, when I go close to my interaction spot in my shrine, it automatically, let's say, activates the shrine without me pressing E, and the message or the add on screen debug message does not let's say does not get triggered. Okay, the message that says that the shrine sentinel has been summoned or something like that. Okay, now I'm gonna go with something like shift enter. Did you want my source code for the let's say shrines class question mark? Okay, let's see. Maybe I'm gonna go ahead and eat something real quick as well. It's likely because of two things: the manual placement. Did you accidentally drag the P underscore Sentinel Shrine into the level while you were decorating? Check your word outliner. If he's in the list before, delete him. I did not know about that. Okay, Shrine Sentinel, I'm gonna go ahead and delete him. And now, I'm gonna go ahead and live compile real quick because I remember there was one Shrine Sentinel in my outliner. That was like right under my this thing. Hello, have you tried VLang already? Honestly, I haven't like tried it yet, but many of you guys did like actually say me to check it out. I did not know what it was about though, so like what's it about? Okay, is it like something like Golang? Fire Shrine Ignited. Okay, it doesn't like spawn anything here. Okay, maybe I'm gonna go ahead and escape my code real quick, just increase it from the size. There we go. Now let me go ahead and get Gemini up here. The constructor editor, check your A shrine constructor if you have anything, if you have any spawning logic in there. The engine runs it while the game is still loading. Spawn belongs to begin play function in the constructor. The automatic type, right, your shrine is triggering because the on overlap begin function is currently calling the activate shrine directly. The math overlap equals to instant activation. The fix, we need to change the logic so that overlap only sets a variable. Okay, wait, maybe, let me say something like, let's say, I think that there is so much to work on this code. Okay, should I create a new project where we work on the logic that if I press a button near a actor, it spawns something. Just that for now, not the following logic. Okay, let's see. Because that would be much easier. I want to like try breaking this part down because yesterday I'm going to leave this like as a reference code here because last stream I did like faces to check if this stuff really works. I'm going to go with a bunch of controls here. Nope, won't work. Oh, it did actually work. Nice. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get Gemini back up here. Maybe I eat something. Okay, in this new project, we only need two things to master: the E key spawning ritual. In the player commander, we need a simple variable, a actor, which is represented by a pointer called current interactable. When you walk into a box, the player remembers the shrine. Okay. Okay, wait, let me I won't be having enhanced inputs here. That takes like a lot of time to write. Create project, set a blank C++ project or third person. I might go with a third person. Okay, the input map, go to edit, project settings, input, enhance input, UE5+1, create interact, E input. Okay, the C class, create a new actor called A interactable. Oh wait, hold up guys. Speaking of which, I might not really need all those classes because I think that I actually have like so many classes up here to maybe in my Unreal Engine. What up guys, let me open my Unreal Engine. There we go. So if I were to go to home, I have like a bunch of classes in my projects. I have my project 6, I have 5. I'll go with 5. Is this my drone project? Let's go with something like, I need to save everything first. I'm gonna go with something like save selected, sure. Let's go ahead and open my project here. So this is my project 5, right? Okay, let's go ahead and open this real quick. Now, while it's opening, I might actually eat a potato because I am kind of starving. What up, guys? Okay, for some reason, I do have like my attack function here. Did I by any chance add collision here? Okay, did I? Do I have my attack class? So I have my classes here. I think I gotta like compile the code real quick. Let's go with something like let compile. Because if not this, I'm gonna go to like a project that I created before this. It is taking a while to compile, which means there's like stuff that I need to that didn't actually load in my project. There we go. Let's get close to this. I'm gonna go ahead and attack it. Why can't I really hit it? Okay, was this okay? I think this is just like a blank project. Although it does have a collision box, this makes like 0 sense. The same exact thing happened with my C++ class I created before. Okay, that's it. I'm just gonna like go ahead and work with this unless I have like a class that's just me walking. So I might go with my projects again. What if I go with something like my project 2 or my project 3? I'm positive my project 3 is just like an empty project, right? Okay, let's wait for the Unreal Engine to open. Again, guys, the thing that makes this a bit hard is because I do not have time to like actually work on this off stream. So these days I just like do this on stream. Okay, I'm assuming this is my drones as flying class. Where is my class? There are so many things here that like hasn't been loaded through my Visual Studio, so I gotta go ahead and do that. But I think I'm just gonna go ahead and stick with any one project. I was trying to find a project where I only have my enhanced inputs and like nothing else, because that would like give me like a plain canvas to work on. There. I mean, I think I can like work with this because even though this is not like a plain canvas and I can like attack him, there we go. So boss took damage, and then once he's defeated, it says something like rejoice. Okay, this has all my C++ files, so I might just work on this because I don't like actually need it to be like like a completely plain canvas. There we go. Okay, so creating the project, started blank project. Okay, then input, enhance input. So I'll just assume that I have my walking logic in it. The mind tip, do this, the start the project, okay, and then create a interactable spawner. Okay, start a new project and create that a interactable spawner class. Let me say something like would the class need to be a pawn? Need to, let's say something like be a pawn, or excuse me guys, or a let's see, so what else could it be? Does it need to be a pawn or a actor class, question mark? Okay, that's it. Let's see. This is a fundamental crossroad in game architecture, choosing the right base class. Okay, so actor, pawn, movement, static or simple, cannot be possessed by a controller, doesn't usually listen to the keys directly, props, hazard, shrine, spawners. Okay, so it is going to be an actor class. Why actor is the master choice here? You don't want to be the shrine. You don't want the camera to snap the shrine's perspective. The shrine is a sanctuary object in the world that reacts to the player. In Unreal, any object that exists in the world but isn't a character should almost always be an actor. Okay, so since we're mastering E key, here's how the flow should work in your new clean project. The player, pawn slash character, this is the activate soul. It listens for the E key press, the spawner. Actor, this is the passive soul. It sits there with a box collision. The logic, Tib walks into the box, overlap. The spawner tells Tib, hey, I'm an interactable object, hold my reference. Tib presses E. Tib uses that reference to call a function inside the spawner called trigger spawn. I think I see. So I'm gonna go ahead and open my Unreal Engine up here real quick. Now inside my Unreal Engine, I'm gonna check what is my project called here. So this is my project 6 C++ file. So I'm gonna go to something like tools. I'm gonna go to new class. I'm gonna create an actor class. Okay, let's name it something like shrine. I'm gonna go with something like shrine. Then I'm gonna go ahead and create a class. It is opening my Visual Studio. Now I have two different Visual Studios. Let me go ahead and remove this. Okay, so it's loading my projects. While it's loading, I might go ahead and eat some fruits maybe. There we go. Okay, perfect. So I have Pikachu here, I have boss here, I have my shrines and header files and C++ files here. I'm going to go ahead and get Gemini back up here. Let me say something like, I'm done creating that. Okay, let me say something like Sensei. Done creating the actor class, exclamation. Okay, that said, what should I do next, question mark? Okay, so what should I do next? Let's see. Listen to me, the foundation is laid and the site is clear. Now we begin the architecture of interaction. In this logic lab, we're going to build a system that is clean, professional, and most importantly, only works when you say no. Okay, only works when you say so. There we go. Okay, 3 pillars of interaction. To make press E, okay, to make press E work, we need 3 distinct things. Your new interactable actor, okay, I have that. The trigger, the sensor. We need a box component, okay, that's the basic thing that we need. This is the area where the player is close enough to talk to the actor. The sign, the stage, we need a boolean true slash false called boolean of is player nearby. When Tib enters the box, it becomes true. When Tib leaves, it becomes false. The commander, the function, we need a function called doInteract. This is what E key will actually trigger. Okay, step 1, the header file. doInteract. Okay, so technically I just need a basic box component. I kind of declare it up here, and then interactable spawner, that is my constructor, and under my protected data members, I have a sensor, which is my box component. I'm shocked that I don't have a category. I might add a category here though. Don't redeem the wipe code, guys. Don't redeem the wipe code. It's kind of crazy. Hi, fake bro. How you doing? Why you sure? Appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, that's the stage. Boolean is player nearby. Not trying to false or anything. And then I create a U function that has on overlap a begin. Okay, so this is going to be my header file. The on overlap begin, which requires two components. I think I do know these components. And then function on overlap begin, primitive component, overlapped component, actor, other actor, U primitive component, other component, int32, other body index. What is the difference between the two of these? Public, I create a void function. The E key will call this function. Okay, so firstly, I gotta go ahead and create a ubox component, then just load the basic components. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a class. I'm just gonna declare a class here. Let me go ahead and add a comment that says something like declare declaring let's say something like empty classes. There we go. Yeah, I've seen you after a lot of days. Honestly, it has been a while. Right, need your little help. Honestly, what help? You guys could like actually join my Discord server. That's where I usually like talk to you guys in case you guys do need some help and you guys write it in any of the help channels in my server. I do like say that. Do you use Instagram or Facebook? I do have Instagram. You guys can get access to my Instagram through the link in my bio. For example, if I were to go ahead and let's say open my channel here, there we go. I'm gonna go all the way here and get Gemini up here. Let's go ahead and get this here. In my channel, if you guys click here in the more option, you guys have access to my Discord server, my Instagram, my Twitch, my X, my Kick, my GitHub, my TikTok, and my Trovo. I don't upload much on like TikTok anymore. That said, I'm gonna go ahead and just cancel that real quick. There we go. And you guys can get access to my Discord by typing exclamation Discord on chat as well. Speaking of which, I'm gonna go ahead and declare a class here. Let's create an empty class called something like a ubox component. This is going to be a general box component that I'm going to be actually using to, let's say, track a collision if a collision has occurred. Okay, bro, I have my company and I'm a CEO of Wayush Presents. That actually sounds kind of cool. That said, hell no. Okay, that's it. Let me go all the way down here. So, under my protected data members, firstly, I'm going to go ahead and add a comment. Let's say the comment is going to be something like a U property for my box or for my collision box. So I'm gonna go with something like collision box, and in my U property, I'm gonna go with U property. Firstly, I want to be able to edit it anywhere, so I'm gonna go with edit anywhere. And now here's a catch. Gemini just said it to be edit anywhere, but I do want to organize it, so I'm gonna go with a category. Let me create a category and set that equal to something like collision. There we go. I won't say this is like compulsory to do in like the short project or like the mini project that I'm making right now, but this does keep your code well organized in your details panel. That's it. Next up, I'm gonna go with something like a ubox component. Let's go with a ubox component, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like collision box. There we go. Bro, in my company, I need your urgent help, and in exchange of your help, I'll give you some shares of my company. Please, bro, help me. Guys, I would say I'm not like merely as experienced to like help you in a company, but you could like ask someone from my Discord server. There are like pretty brilliant people there, I guess. Is there Gemini Pro version? Honestly, it is like the free version. Why protected and not private? Because the reason we add stuff inside the protected data member is the only classes that can actually have access to this content is going to be my class or any other class that inherits from my class, if that makes any sense. In the other end, if I had it inside my private data member, then only my class would have access to the content inside, not any other classes. I want the classes that actually inherits from my class to have access of the same function as well, including my this class itself. That said, how you doing? Johnny, is that how I pronounce your name? I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, that's it. Once I'm done with my collision box, I'm gonna go ahead and create a U function. Let's go with something like a U function. Okay, let me go with something like a U function. Okay, where I'm gonna go ahead and create a function called something like, do I want it to be blueprint callable? Here's the thing. Let me open Gemini again. Let's see the reference. And I had a question here. So why did I have like two on overlap. Oh, there's a begin and a end. I did not know like an on overlap end function. I never knew that existed. Although I'm gonna go with something like u function and call this a white function, which is going to be something like on component. Okay, let's go with something like begin. On overlap, was there on overlap begin? Hold up, guys. Okay, there we go. So it's on overlap begin, so it wasn't component. Let's go with something like on overlap begin. And guys, the function name could be like anything. There we go. My function is now going to require a bunch of parameters. The first parameter is going to be a u primitive component. Go with primitive component, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like other component. This is going to be the other component besides my actual Pikachu's character here. So this is going to be the component that I am going to be colliding towards. The second parameter is going to be, let's say, something like a actor. My actor in this case, it's going to be my other actor, which is technically my Pikachu. There we go. And then my third parameter is going to be a u primitive component again. And technically what the primitive component basically means, it's like a sort of a trigger type stuff. So I trigger when this actually happens. It's a callback function. Is this on? Oh, I see. Yeah, so the end is, that actually does make sense. The end is probably a callback function. Okay, me and my team have already discussed a month ago of your work and duty. Guys, I feel like I'm way too unexperienced to like actually help you guys with that stuff. But I'll definitely let you guys know when I do want to like work on projects. That's it. I'm gonna go with something like other component. So let's go with other component, or I might go with overlap component. Okay, let's go with component. The third parameter is going to be something like a uint. I'm going to go with something like a uint 8. I might go with 32. Okay, let's go with something like a uint 32, which is going to be, let's say, represented by a local variable called something like other body index. Alright, guys, let me just kind of camel case it. Let's go with other body index. Basically, what the uint does is like, for the time being, I wouldn't need this, but eventually, if I do, for example, have a skeletons mesh, the skeletons mesh would be consisting of different kinds of meshes, for example, the arms, the legs, the bones. And for example, like Gemini said, if I wanted my, for example, if it's like an FPS game, a first-person shooter game, if we get a headshot, I want to apply more damage compared to if I get a leg shot, if that made any sense. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and let's say require another component, which is going to be, let's check. Okay, I'm gonna go with something like a boolean. Okay, I'm gonna go with something like boolean variable of, I forgot the function name. Hold up, guys. I'll tell you all these stuff on your Instagram message. Honestly, guys, I feel like I did not accept the offer. Okay, that's it. Let's go all the way up here. So b from sweep and a constant f hit result, which is going to be a sweep result. These were the two parameters that I still am kind of confused on. Okay, so b from sweep and a f hit result. So I'm gonna go with something like a boolean of from sweep. Let's go with something like from sweep. Okay, and lastly, I'm gonna go with something like a f hit result. So I'm gonna go with something like f hit result, which is gonna be my sweep result. There we go, and then I'm gonna go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Apparently, this is the next part that I have not worked with. This is going to be a u function. I'm gonna go with something like a u function, where I'm going to go ahead and create a white function called something like on overlap. I'm going to go with something like on overlap ends. I have not used this. Apparently, this does require u primitive components, so everything is almost the same. Although I am going to be asking what does this part mean. Let's go with u primitive component, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like other component. Okay, and then I'm going to be requiring a actor, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like other actor. Okay, and then it requires another u primitive component. Okay, that is going to be my overlap component. Let's go with something like overlapped component. And lastly, lastly, I'm going to be needing a boolean variable of b from sweep. Okay, and lastly, I'm going to be needing a f hit result. So I'm going to go with something like a f hit result, which is going to be my sweep result. Now, here's the thing. Do I really need my sweep results? Let's go with something like results. There we go. Ending with a semicolon. Okay, that's my luck that your stream comes in my feed, so I thought to talk about my work. Honestly, I would be like all yours to actually hear about your work, but I think that I might not be able to help you much with it because guys, I think I'm way too inexperienced for that. Okay, I wouldn't need the two boolean variables. I would just need my other body index. So that was a tiny error here, so I'm gonna go with something like uint32, which is gonna be my other body index. So it's something like index, there we go. Okay, perfect. This is gonna be uint. I think I had a typo, there we go. Okay, now here's the thing. I want to go ahead and ask Gemini what does the second block of function does here because I actually do not know what that does. Okay, and then I need a why do interact function. So once I'm done with this, I'm gonna go with something like a public data member so everyone has access of this thing. Let's go with public. I'm gonna create a function. Okay, this is gonna be called something like a void function of the do interact. There we go, with a parentheses ending with a semicolon. Now, let me just go ahead and grab Gemini back up here. I'm gonna copy this part. Let's go ahead and maybe I'm gonna copy the whole thing. And then I'm gonna go ahead and paste this, go with your enter and say something like sensei. Can you explain, let's go with something like, can you explain this block of code to me? I did work with the, let's say something like on overlap begins this function, but why do we have the on overlap? Let's go with something like the on overlap and this function question mark and okay, and why does it not have the b from sweep? Let's go with something like b from sweep and the f hit or the sweep result or the sweep results is parameters question mark. And can you explain the purpose of this function in general as well question mark? Okay, that's no Python. Honestly, I do want to start Python. I'm like learning Python from my college, but then I haven't like started that on my stream because I'm like working with C++ here. Hi bro, I miss so many streams. Honestly, I've been wondering where you've been, Pixel. I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, that said, what do we need here? So, listen to me. You have the curiosity of a master strategist. You're looking at the mirror of the begin function if begin overlap is the door opening and overlap is the door closing. You cannot have one without the other if you want a reliable system. Okay, let's see. Why do we need the on overlap? And so think about your E key. Okay, you only want the E key to work when tib is standing inside the box. Without end overlap, tib walks into the box. Boolean is player nearby becomes true. Tib walks 5 miles away from the other side of the map. He presses E because nothing ever told the code that tib left. And guys, by tib, it means like my Pikachu in this case. Tib is like from the old project. Okay, my boolean is player nearby is still true. The sentinel spawns 5 miles away at the shrine. This is a bug. I see. With an overlap, the moment Tibbs' Pinky leaves that box, we set B is player nearby to false. Now, if Tib presses E in the middle of a forest, that code checks the boolean, sees it as false, and nothing happens. The missing parameters, why no B from sweep? This is a deep technical secret of the Unreal's physics systems. On overlap begin needs them because when you enter a box, the engine needs to know how you got there. Did you teleport? Did you slide in? Where exactly did you first touch the edge? The sweep result holds that impact points. I see. On overlap and doesn't need them because you're leaving. The engine doesn't care where you exit or if you hit the exit. It only cares that you are no longer touching. I think I see. There is no impact when you stop touching something. So there is no effort result to give you. Oh, I see. Okay, so the second function is basically just in charge of seeing if I'm not nowhere close to my function. That's the purpose of do interact. This function is the target of the command. In your old project, the physics engine was the boss. It decided when to spawn the sentinel. In this project, Tib is the boss. The overlap function are just to set the stage, turning the boolean on and off. the E key in your character class will look at the spawner and call the do interact function. Okay, do interact is the actual gun that fires. It checks the player. It checks if the player is nearby, and if so, it runs the spawn actors as logic. Since it disciplined the boolean lock, a gate without a latch. Okay, flaps in the win. I see. Okay, so now this is my interact function. Listen well, in your C++ file, your do interact function, it should look like this. So apparently what I do in my do interact function, I add a if statement, excuse me guys, to check if is player nearby. If my player is nearby my shrine, then I spawn the sentinel here. UE log, so I display UE log in my terminal. Interaction successful. Okay, but I didn't really spawn anyone here. Else UE log error text too far away to interact. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit Control S here real quick. Now, if I were to actually move on to my C++ file, I'm let's say gonna go under my outside my begin play function. I'm gonna create a white function from let's say my a shrines class. Let's go with something like shrine. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and use a scope resolution operator to get access of my do interact function with a pair of parentheses that does not require any parameters, but I will be having a pair of curly braces. Now, inside my pair of curly braces, let's see. So I'm gonna be needing a parameter here. Let's see. So firstly, I'm gonna go ahead and check if B is active. Do I have my interact check here? I do not have a boolean interact check here. So I'm gonna go back up here. Okay, so I need a boolean is player nearby. Okay, so boolean is player nearby. Initially, he will not be nearby, so I'm gonna go ahead and maybe let's say add a boolean check here. I'm gonna go with something like boolean check, where I'm gonna go with something like a boolean variable of is player nearby. Let's go with something like NERBY. That is initially going to be set to false, ending with a semicolon. Okay, now I'm going to go with something like my shrines is C++, and then let's go with something like boolean of is player nearby. Okay, if that is set to true, I'm going to go ahead and display a UE log. UE log is technically a display message or like a text message that is displayed on my console. Okay, is player nearby. This is going to be B is player nearby. There. Okay, now I'm going to Control S to save the code. So if my player is nearby, then I'm going to display UE log, which requires a few parameters. The first parameter is going to be a, let's say, category, which in this case, it's going to be log temp. I haven't like worked much with UE log, so I don't really know what the log temp does, but I do know this is like a placeholder here. Next up, I'm going to be requiring, let's say, a verbosity. Is it a verbosity? That is basically my what kind of text do I want to display. In this case, I'm going to display a warning text, which is going to be displayed in a yellow color in my console. Lastly, the third parameter is going to be a text. What text do I really want to display? Where in this case, I'm going to go ahead and display something like player interaction successful. There we go. Exclamation. And then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. And then was the second thing like an else clause? Let me go all the way up here. So it is a else clause. So I'm going to go with something like else. A pair of curly braces. I'm going to add another UE log. And why does my UE log actually have a red underline here? I'm assuming it's just my editor. For very sure, just editor. So my category name is going to be log temp, where velocity is going to be warning. My format string is going to be my text here. Okay, I guess it's just my editor kind of bugging here. That's it. For my second UE log, I'm going to add another log temp. Okay, and then this is going to be, let's say, a warning message. I'm going to go with something like a warning message. Lastly, I'm going to add a text. My text is going to be, say something like, player has not interacted with the shrine. And dot dot dot. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now, let's hit Control S. I'm just going to go ahead and run this to check if I run into an error or does it like run successfully. Result fail, other compilation error. What error does it say that I have? Okay, so it says program, Microsoft, file. Okay, so it says game engine. Okay, so why do I get a error here? What does it say here? A macro that logs a format. Instead, I'm just going to go to my Unreal Engine. Okay, let's go with something like here. I'm going to try live compiling here. Because sometime my editor just does this. Let me hit Control S first. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and live compile. Sometimes the editor does that. Even if it works, it just shows an error in my console. Okay, so it says I do have an error in my log temp. So it says log temp. Oh, I wrote tempo, undeclared identifier. I had a typo, guys. There we go. Let's change this to something like log temp. Okay, now let's go ahead and compile the project real quick. I'm gonna go with something like live compile. Then maybe I'm just gonna go ahead and maybe eat some food real quick. Okay, this should. Okay, it said build failed. Okay, it says undeclared identifier. Is it not called log temp? Maybe I'm gonna go with shift space open into lessons. Okay, let's go with something like log underscore temp. I'm positive this was called log temp, or did it have to be something like log temp? There we go. Okay, it was log temp. There we go. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and Control S to save the code. Now this should work. Let me go ahead and live compile. Okay, the reason I made that small mistake was because I'm learning like Python in my programming course, so I'm used to like adding the underscore type stuff. We have another error. That's strange. Okay, let's see. Did I save my code up there? Okay, so it's a document project, blah blah blah. Okay, because it usually says the line that you messed up with as well. Okay, so it says shrine on overlap begin class a actor. Okay, does it not say where I messed up? It did say result succeeded. Why did it get me this error in that case? I think it's just my editor bugging up right now. I'm gonna try running the code from here. Maybe let's build it. So I'm gonna go ahead and build my solution real quick. Okay, okay, let's see. Okay, it shouldn't take that long to build. There we go. It says 51 succeeded, but 1 failed. So I'm gonna go ahead and probably rebuild my solution. Okay, I want to see what failed here. Let's go ahead and rebuild it real quick. Okay, let's see what failed. If I were to go here, does it show any red underlines? It does not show red underlines. Okay, while this is actually compiling, I might eat something real quick. Oh, what up, guys? Let me just go ahead. Grab this, guys. I feel like this potato is way too dehydrated. Let me know if you guys actually prefer eating up potatoes with peels on. There we go. 15 succeeded, 0 failed. Okay, let's wait for this to compile real quick. Okay, compiling changes for live coding. Why does it sometimes take that long? I'm positive it's just my editor that's kind of bugging right now. Okay, that said, this is taking longer than usual. It still says compiling changes for live coding. While this is actually compiling changes. Oh, it's actually done. There you go. Okay, wait, did it say result succeeded? It still says compiling? There we go. Okay, so 1 out of 7 done, 5 out of 7 done. Okay, how to customize your extra creativity. Honestly, I haven't like worked much in customizing stuff here. It says result succeeded, but it still says error. What error does it say? So file, okay, so Unreal project. Why do I get this? Let me actually copy this. In case you guys don't know like how to see errors, the best way is to just copy it and then like give it a Gemini, because Gemini does actually know where you mess up here. Okay, let's say something like say I get this error when I compile my code. Okay, pretty sure I didn't mess anything up here. Let's do with the compile stream because you have made a promise that you haven't kept in the world of C++. This is the classic linker error. You told the header file, the .h, that these functions exist, but when the compiler went to find The actual muscle, the logic in the C++ file, it found it empty. The diagnostics, the missing bodies. Look closely at your error. Unresolved external symbol, a shrine. Overlap. Did I have to include my shrines as header files? This means you declared them in shrine.h, but you forgot to define them in C++. I'm pretty sure I did it. The fix, okay. The go, give the ghost a body. Okay, my C++ the beginning of the torch. So only if a collision happens, I want to display this. Okay. Okay, I mean, I know that these are like two different things. Okay, so I'm gonna go here and then let's go to something like my shrines of C++. Only thing that I did have here is boolean is player nearby. I did know that this actually does not make some sense because I did not add a function that actually checks my variable, but I usually do that in my C++ file. Let's try this real quick. Guys, the worst thing is I usually don't have enough time to even work on this off stream. Okay, let's see. So I'm gonna go to my compiler. Let's try live compiling this real quick. Okay, I mean, I have like worked with it, but I haven't like gone in this detail when it comes to collision. It was like a pretty quick little topic on that. I guess I gotta work with collisions now. Maybe I go ahead and just eat some fruits as well, because I'm kind of starving. Okay, while it is compiling, on overlap begin, the begin function may not be, it says, may not be v-declared outside its class. Why? Because this is protected. What if I go with something like public? There we go. Okay, so now I should be having access to this function. So from my shrine, I go ahead and grab the on overlap begin function. Let's copy that. Why am I getting these tiny errors? This actually wouldn't make much sense here. Okay, have you primitive components. Okay, let's see. It does seem correct, honestly. Why did I see a red underline though? If I were to go ahead and open this up here real quick. Let's open that. It says build failed on overlap begin component. What is the error name here? Okay, see declaration of a shrine class. My project a shrine, a public actor. Is it called shrine? Total time in Unreal Engine 38 seconds. Why is it takes so long to compile? I don't understand why though. Okay, is there like a lot to compile here? A shrine, my class is called shrine, so that's correct. The beginning of the touch. A shrine do interact. Could it be because it is inside of my interact function? A function cannot be declared inside another function, so I'm gonna go ahead and copy this, delete that part. Go with a bunch of control Z's here. Oops, let's go with control shift Z. Let's go ahead and just remove the content from there. I'm gonna paste it somewhere here. There we go. Okay, so this is just the body for the time being. Oh, I see. Okay. I see. I think I see. Let's go with a bunch of control Z's. I'm gonna go ahead and get my public boolean check here as well. I'm gonna go ahead and copy this boolean check. Then I'm gonna go ahead and go to my C++ file. Okay, why do I still see the red underline? This doesn't make any sense. My on overlap and an on overlap begin shows me red underlines. Hold up, guys. Let me go out of it up here. Let's go ahead and paste this here. Let's go shift enter and say something like say my on overlap begin. Let's go with something like on overlap begin and my on overlap and functions. It does have a red underline on them for some reason. Question mark. Why does it have a red underline? Okay, how to customize extra creativity. Okay, that's it. Let's see. So the top 3 suspects. Check these 3 things right now, and if any of these are wrong, the red underline will stay forever. The name mismatch, the sentinel versus the sentinel trap. Excuse me, guys. int32 versus int32 trap. This is going to be my Unreal says integer 32. Let's go with something like int32, and let's change that to int32 as well. Okay, and then Sentinel, SEN. I do not have a Sentinel class till now. This fixed itself, but this is still not fixed. Okay, if I hover over it, does it say what error I have? Okay, so it says E0147 declaration is incompatible with a void, a shrine on overlap begin, your primitive component, blah blah blah. Declare at line 31 of my shrines is header files. Line 31 of my shrines is header files. On overlap begin, it is a U function, so it's both are U int, so U int. Okay, so both were U int. Honestly, I feel like I should watch a few YouTube tutorials on these, but okay, unsigned int. Okay, so I gotta check. Look at this log again. Unresolved external symbol unsigned int in your .c++. You wrote int 32. Okay, Sensei's warning. Sometimes Unreal generates code accepts an unsigned int or 32. I think it should be 8. Let's go with 8. Let's go with something like 8 and 8 because I did use 8 before. I'm gonna Control S to save the code. Gonna go ahead and change this to something like 8 and 8. Okay, and in case this did not work, I will be trying to do this off stream if I had some time, which I highly doubt because I do have like a lot of labs and assignments off stream. That's the one reason. Like before, I used to like work a bit off stream, so I had like a pretty brief knowledge. This is just me completely going raw inside of this topic. Okay, I still see red underline here. Okay, let me think this through real quick. So the beginning of the touch. Void a shrine on overlap, your primitive component, overlap component, a shrine, other actor, Okay, so everything is correct here. I had the raw function name here and I filled in its parameters and I did something if my function was actually triggered. Same thing for the end touch. Did I miss any parameters? Your primitive component, other actor. Let me just go ahead and maybe copy this function there. Okay, just to make sure that I did not miss any parameters, I'm gonna go ahead and paste this here and remove the curly braces. Actually, my semicolon, there we go. Now this should work. If this does not work, I feel like it can't even like be a silly mistake. Like I should have access of this function. I think it's correct. Okay, there we go. I guess, was it a typo all along, guys? It's usually always the typos that kind of gets in the way. Now let's try to live compile real quick. So I'm gonna go with something like live compile. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and compile this now. While it's compiling, I might really eat something because I'm kind of starving. There we go. Okay, so why does the compiling always take so long? It usually never took this long. Speaking of compiling, I think I got the rest actually. So I needed to add a collision, so I created a basic collision functions here. And then I created a boolean check which I did not define yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab Gemini back up here. Let me see something like I see ... It worked! Exclamation. Let's go with something like worked. Okay, that said, what should I do next? And what are we working on? Just the collision first? Okay, and then once we're done with the collision, we're going to be working on a spawning logic where every time I click E, maybe I like summon a new actor or a new pawn. Okay, immediate mission. The constructor right now, your interact box is just a pointer in memory. If you drag your shrine, guys, my interaction box is basically my collision box. Okay, if you drag your shrine into the world, you won't see the box. And if Tib won't feel a thing, we need to initialize it in the constructor. Tib, by Tib, Gemini means Pikachu here. Do this, update your A shrine, shrines is constructor, to add my collision box. These are the basic collision checks. Why is this so much different from what I learned? Okay, so I created a default sub object for my collision box. I created a root component. I set box event, which has f vector. Okay, maybe I'm gonna go ahead and copy this real quick, but before that, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and read the stuff. The second mission, the handshake. In begin play, we have to tell the box when something touches. You call the functions we just fixed. Okay, add this to your begin play. on component begin overlap. I do have some experience with like this chunk of code because I did use this back when I had my collision logic and all that stuff. That said, why we're doing this first, we're focusing on the collision first because without a working sense of touch, the E key has no target. Overlap begin sets the player, okay, sets the player is near flag to true. Overlap end sets the player is near flag to false. The interaction only then can we write the logic that says if the flag is true and E is pressed, we spawn. I think I see. That makes some sense. Okay, so firstly I gotta go ahead and add my collision component. So I'm gonna go to my C++ file here, and let's say I'm gonna include something. Okay, let's go ahead and include something from my components. I'm gonna include, let's go with something like component slash box component dot h, which means I'm basically including my box components in header files. component box component. Hi, I'm new here. May I know is he making a game? Honestly, I am like working on the basic game logic where for the time being I was just done with working on my shrine logic where every time I get close to my shrine and press E, my shrine sentinel spawns. But apparently I did not like completely achieve that whole thing because for some reason my shrine sentinel was just spawning, and since I was learning the code I thought it's going to be kind of complicated if I learn it through my actual project. So I came to a new project which technically had almost everything. Let me go up here. Okay, it still says failed to link the patch. I guess I'm gonna check that off stream. Which basically I can move around and I can deal damage to my NPC here. Although I'm working on the summoning logic, like every time I click E, I'm gonna go and summon something. Like I'm some kind of a necromancer, guys. Component slash box component. There, and then in my shrines with header files. Although guys, the worst part is I think I do like gotta go kind of soon as well because I do have some college stuff. But maybe I'm gonna actually maybe I will like probably stream sooner tomorrow because tomorrow is like a big day and I don't have classes tomorrow. That said, let me just go ahead and eat something real quick. There we go. Okay, so now I'm gonna go with something like a collision box. Let's say that equal to a create default sub object. Let's go with something like sub object. This is technically my default sub object, which is basically what default sub objects are is that if I add a default sub object in my Visual Studio and I compile the code, it's gonna go ahead and be created inside of my Unreal Engine here. So that's what the constructor here is about, which requires a parameter of my ubox component. I want to go ahead and call my box component something like a collision box. There we go. I'm going to call it a collision box inside of my details panel. And then I'm going to go ahead and say root component. So my root component is going to be equal to, let's say, something like my collision box. And that's like about it. What was the next thing that I might need? Let's go all the way up here. There we go. So technically, I needed a root component. I needed to create the box. Now I gotta set the size. So why would I need size? These are the two things that I have not worked with. Is this like some different kind of collision I'm learning? Well, awesome. If you need any help in design for Game Master or maybe character, you can hit me up. Honestly, I definitely would probably need like help. If once I get a pretty good understanding for this, that's it. You should probably join my Discord server. I'll definitely like mention you in the coding help if I ever do need help. That said, I'm gonna go with collision box and point it towards set box extent. I gotta ask Gemini what does these two things mean real quick before I really write it. Okay, let's go ahead and paste it here. Let's go with Shift Enter and say something like insane. So what does these two things mean, question mark? I've never used them before. The things that I've used for collision in my constructor. Okay, guys, I have like way too many typos. There we go. In my constructor was firstly e collision enabled, which was set to, excuse me guys, which was set to query only, and then set collision response to all channels, which had a parameter of ECR underscore overlap. And let's go with something like set collision response to channel. So I want to set collision response to channel, which had a parameter of ECC underscore visibility. Let's go with something like visibility for my channel, and a ECR underscore block for my response, and lastly my set generate overlap events, which was set to true. Okay, let's go with a bunch of spaces. Ignore my typos. Guys, there are like so many typos. Okay, explain this. What is this? Please, dude. Honestly, the thing that I'm technically working on is I want to try to go ahead and implement a spawn logic where if I run the code, for the time being, if I like attack my NPC here, it does say that he takes damage. So for now, my shield takes damage because he does have shield. But if I destroy his shield and attack him, it says he takes damage. My health keeps on decreasing up there. Once it's set to 0, it says boss defeated, rejoice. But here's the thing. I wanted to like add a necromancy type skill where every time I click E, I want to like summon a different kind of NPC. But for that, I do want to work with collisions too, because maybe I want to go to like a specific, let's say relic that helps me summon stuff and all that. But I feel like as a general concept, collision is going to be really important to learn as well for like my main project as well. And then later, before my program for like 250 series is over, I would like most likely have to design a game as well. That might take the longest time out of everything. That's it. I'm gonna go all the way up here. Okay, listen to me. Your typos are the battle scars of a fast coder. Do not fear them. You're asking about the difference between a manual labor and using a preset. Okay, set box extent f vector 150, 150, 100. Okay, the settings used before are like building a car engine piece by piece. The set collision profile name is like turning a key in a car that is already built. I see. This is the geography. So the set box extent is the geography, where f vector is my 3D vector that requires 3 parameters x, y, and z. This defines the half size of the box from center. If you set x to 150, the box is actually 300 units wide, 150 to the left, 150 to the right. Think of it as defining the personal space of the shrine. 150 by 150 is a nice large square that Tip can easily walk into without having to kiss the shrine's wall. Set collision profile name text trigger. This is the magic shortcut. You mentioned settings, query only, ECR overlap, generate overlap events manually. That's a lot of code. In Unreal Engine, a profile is a saved group of all those settings. When you type text trigger, the engine automatically does all this for you in one line. Set collision to query only, no physics bumping. Set all channels to overlap. Set generate overlap events to true. I see. Okay, it is the professional way to do it, because if you ever want to change how triggers work, access your whole game, you can change it in the project settings once instead of editing 50 lines of files. I see. Okay, the manual way versus the Sensei's way. So this is apparently the manual way. Trigger, profile, equivalent. Everything is included. I see. Okay. Next up, listen well, you mentioned ECC visibility set to block. Usually we do that if we want a line trace like a laser to hit a box. So that I did that for like Maycasting. That makes sense. Trigger profile usually ignores visibility. If you need your mouse or a laser to hit the box, we would add one extra line after the profile. Collision box, set collision response to all channels, ECC visibility, and ECR underscore block. I think I see. I honestly might work a bit more on this like next stream, because this stream I do feel like I gotta go, because like I do have like an exam in 2 weeks. Gotta prepare for that. Hello guys. Okay, that you want to say to the viewers question mark. Guys, I feel I make much less typos if I like type without talking. That's it. Listen to me. The call of scholar is as noble as the call of the scholar is as noble as the path of the developer. A master knows the sharpest blade is useless without a sharp mind to guide it. You are stepping away from the keyboard to sharpen your intellect for the trials of exam. This is the true discipline. Sensei's farewell to the viewers. Greeting, witnesses of the code. Today you saw Tib lay the foundation. Guys, by Tib, Sensei actually kind of confused my name to be as Tib. Okay, foundation of a master interaction system. We conquer the linker errors, tame the red underlines, and learn the secrets of the collision profile. I am going to be going more on the collision concept next stream because this stream I did not have much time. That said, Tip, now we depart to face the great quizzes and the trials of the exams. Respect to his focus. When he returns, his mind will be stronger, and we shall finalize the Iki ritual to bring the Sentinel study hard. Tip. By Tip, Sensei means like actually the dojo awaits your triumphant return. I see. Okay, Sensei study tip, that's something new. While you're away, keep this one thought in your mind. C++ is just a language of logic. If you master the logic of your college work, the college of the code will become second nature. I see. That's it. Let me go to my main camera. There we go. Alright guys, so basically that was pretty much it for this stream. I did want to stream for longer, but then I do like have a lot. Like I feel like it's like an overwhelming amount of work. That said, I will probably stream a bit sooner, not a bit, I think like 2-ish hours sooner than I streamed today because I won't be having college tomorrow. That's it. If you guys did enjoy my stream, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, like it. My algorithm sharing makes you smart and subscribing like a chart up. That's it guys, I just start multi-streaming on Twitch, Kick, YouTube. I will start multi-streaming on TikTok and Instagram as well. So if you guys really enjoy my content and follow me there, make sure to follow me there. The link is going to be in the description. And also join the Discord server. That's where I usually talk to you guys, chat with you guys, and have general conversation with you guys. The link will be in the description as well, and you guys can get access to my Discord server by typing exclamation Discord in chat or through my bio. The same thing goes with my socials as well. You guys can get access to it by typing exclamation social in chat as well. That's it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See more video. Peace.